Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in time and space. Welcome to Just the Word TV, and thank you for joining our daily morning devotion. This channel is built on one mission to help you hear what God actually said, not tradition, just the Word. So, we're continuing with our series, this new series of prayer and worship, maintaining alignment. And over the past few episodes, we've laid some important groundwork. We've seen that prayer is our foundational access to God, that our worship is more about our daily posture of service than our Sunday morning music, and that fasting helps clear the channel so we can hear Him more clearly. Today, we're talking about one of the most vital and, let's be honest, one of the most difficult parts of that maintenance work, forgiveness and reconciliation. So, I'll start with a metaphor. If you wear glasses like me, you know the frustration of a greasy fingerprint right in the middle of your lens. Suddenly, everything is smudged, the world is blurry, distorted. You can't see clearly until you stop and clean the lens. Unforgiveness is a lot like that. It's a smudge on the lens of our soul. Every hurt we hold on to, every grudge we nurse, every bitter conversation we replay in our minds is another fingerprint that blurs our vision. It distorts how we see God, how we see others, and even how we see ourselves. True worship, that act of aligning ourselves with the heart of the Father, begins by wiping that lens clean. And Jesus makes it clear that this isn't just a good idea, it's a prerequisite. In Matthew chapter 5, verses 23 and 24, he gives this startling instruction. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Notice the sequence. He doesn't say, finish your worship service, sing that last song, and then maybe think about dealing with that relational issue later this week. He says, stop, leave the gift, go first. The vertical alignment with God is directly, immediately, and inseparably linked to our horizontal alignment with each other. The channel to God gets clogged by our broken connections here on earth. To understand why this is so critical, we're going to look at the words and we're going to look at the Greek words. In the Greek, the word for forgive is often given as aphemi. Aphemi is spelled Aphie with a little line on top, Mi. It literally means to release, like releasing a prisoner or canceling a debt. It's a transactional decision to let go of your right to demand payment for a wrong that was done to you. The word for reconcile is catalasso, which is spelled Katalasso with a little line on top. This one is beautiful. It means to exchange a state of hostility for a state of friendship. It's not just canceling a debt, it's moving to restore the relationship. And now, remember how we define worship in the series? It has two parts, avad in Hebrew or lateria in Greek. Lateria spelled L-A-T, latreia spelled Latreia, which means our daily practical service. And then we looked at Shadrach or Shajat, which is spelled Shachah. Apologize for the mispronunciation, which is the posture of humbling ourselves or of bowing low. Forgiveness and reconciliation are the ultimate expressions of both. Forgiveness is worship in work boots, service to the King, and a living bow before his mercy throne. When we release a debt that is owed to us, a fimi, we are serving God's command of love. When we humble ourselves to exchange hostility for peace, kadalasso, we are bowing before the one who first reconciled us to himself. So Jesus mentions the peacemakers in the Beatitude, and we discussed the peacemakers, right? So peacemakers aren't just conflict avoiders, they are active agents of peace, courageously stepping into brokenness to rebuild bridges, reflecting the very character of God. The alternative, the refusal to forgive, is spiritually corrosive. Look at the tragic story of King Saul and David. In 1 Samuel 18, Saul hears the people singing, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. That single seed of jealousy, that offense he refused to release, began to smudge his lens. He couldn't see David as a loyal servant anymore. He only saw a rival. That smudge of unforgiveness led to a spear throw of rage. It led to years of hunting David through the wilderness, and ultimately it led Saul to a place of utter spiritual desolation, consulting the witch of Endor because God has gone silent. His channel was completely clogged. His refusal to Aphemi, to release the offense, destroyed his relationship with David and, more tragically, his alignment with God. Now, contrast Saul's spiraling rage with the picture Jesus paints in Matthew 5. The true worshiper at the altar has a moment of clarity. Wait, something's not right between me and my brother. And what do? They stop. They value the clean channel more than the religious ritual. They understand that a heart full of resentment cannot offer a gift of pure worship. The Apostle Paul picks up this theme powerfully. He tells us in Second Corinthians chapter 5 that God reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. So this isn't a side gig for super Christians. It is the ministry. Our access to the Father was granted because he chose to catalasso, to exchange his righteous hostility towards our sin for friendship paid for by Jesus. Our primary mission then is to extend that same grace to others. If you take a look at Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, it makes it personal. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you have has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. It all comes back to this. Our ability to worship is tied to our willingness to forgive. In our modern world, maybe we don't have altars and gifts in the same way. But think about your email inbox. How many of us have an unresolved conflict sitting there like it's like an unsent draft? An angry reply we typed out but never sent. A conversation we know we need to have, but we just keep archiving it. Those unsent drafts, those undeleted grievances clog our spiritual inbox. They take up bandwidth. They keep new messages of grace and peace from getting through. Forgiveness, Afimi, is hitting delete on the debt. Reconciliation, Catalasso, is hitting send on a message of peace. Both are acts of worship that clear the channel. So, how do we begin this maintenance work? Let's become practical. I want you to sit with these three questions, and I keep giving you questions all the time. So, first question: who or what offense is fogging my lens right now? Be honest with yourself. What smudge keeps distorting your vision? Two, how does this unreleased hurt show up in my life? Is it in my tone with others? Does it rob me of my sleep? Does it make my prayers feel like they're hitting the ceiling? Three, have I confused forgiveness with trust? And this is the big one. Forgiveness is your decision to release the debt, and it can be instant. Trust is a response to demonstrated trustworthy behavior, and it has to be earned over time. You can forgive someone completely while still maintaining healthy boundaries because trust has not yet been rebuilt. And I want you to understand this is the big principle. If you missed everything else that I've said over the past few minutes, I need you to get this. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about you, right? Forgiveness is that act of worship where you're able to look at someone else, no matter how badly they have maybe have faulted you, you're able to look at them and forgive them. But as I've said before, forgiveness, showing love or anything like that cannot be done without proper boundaries. So when you are forgiving, right? When you forgive and someone has basically mishandled your trust or mishandled you, it does not mean that when you forgive them that all trust is given, all trust is given, all trust is there again. No, things are not the same. Trust was broken, and because trust, it takes a long time for that for that to be built. It takes a long time for that to be reestablished. So never think, or if you have done something wrong to someone, when they forgive you, right? Never think that it was about you, right? The person who has done the wrong. It's never about you. It was about that person making sure that they can operate at the fullest extent, at the fullest peak, to make sure that they can execute as efficiently as they possibly can. Because when you're holding on to unforgiveness, when you're holding on to what people have done for you, what you're doing is you're allowing people to occupy your mind rent free, right? You're allowing people to have a constant running thought in their brain. So while they're out there doing whatever they want, not even thinking about you, you are giving them space within your mind to continually run and run and run and run and run. And that's all due to the fact that you could not forgive them. You could not forgive the fact that they did what they did. And I think that the hardest part about forgiveness and why people don't want to forgive in the first place is really due to the fact that we have this this preconceived notion, or we have this perception of forgiveness where once we forgive, we are to let this person back into our lives. But when we are practicing forgiveness, what if this person is a murderer? What if they're a rapist? What if they're a pedophile? What if they're any type of thing that you can think of that is maybe conducive or may not be conducive to your health or your family's health? Are we just supposed to forgive them and just let them back into our houses? Are we supposed to forgive them and let them back into our lives? The Bible does not tell us to do that. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells us to trust no man here on earth, right? So if that is the case, right, we're only supposed to be trusting the Father, right? And if that's the case, that means that trust here on earth has to be built over some trials and tribulations, right? So when that forgiveness, when that trust is broken, you are supposed to forgive, but don't think that your forgiveness is supposed to be linked to some type of building of trust again, or forgiveness may be the first step to rebuilding that trust, but it doesn't mean that trust has been rebuilt, right? So that's the one thing I want you all to truly understand. Forgiveness does not mean that you are to let people back into your lives. That is the decision that you have to make on your own based on how much you're able to trust that person at that point in time. You have to let them know, or they have to understand that trust has to be rebuilt. I forgive you, and I'm forgiving you for my own sake. I'm forgiving you because if I don't forgive you and I hold on to this, my connection to God, whatever He's been downloading into my life, whatever He has been giving to me, whatever blessings he has in store for me, I block it due to the fact that I'm allowing you to live rent free in my head. So please, I'm going to continue going a little bit further because I have some concrete actions for you to take. But please, as you're moving forward, practice forgiveness, right? Forgive, 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 forgive. Somebody steps on your toe, forgive them. Somebody calls you out your name, forgive them, right? But what you must not do, and what I ask that you don't do, is to allow them to occupy space into your life again. Don't allow them to just come in and out the however they want to come in and out of. Forgiveness does not mean that they are allowed back into your life, but forgiveness means that you are allowed to move forward in your own life. So here's a few concrete actions we can take right now. Right? So first, take a piece of paper, write down the offense and the person. And in prayer to God, tell God, I release this debt to you, and I release this debt as you released mine. This is a Afimi. Then safely shred or burn that paper as a physical act of symbolizing your release. Second, if it is safe and the Holy Spirit leads you, if you feel confident enough, consider sending a brief, humble note. It doesn't have to be a dramatic confrontation. It can be as simple as, I know things have been tense between us. I'm sorry for my part in that. I hope we can find peace. This is what Paul meant in Romans chapter 12, verse 18. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Third, if reconciliation, let me just touch on that Romans 12:18. If it is possible, meaning that this idea of this idea of forcing people to be around others because maybe that's your mother, that's your father, that's your family member, whatever it might be. The Bible says, if it is possible, right, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Meaning that you're not going to be able to live at peace with everyone. Everyone is not going to want to look for that reconciliation. Everyone is not going to be able to accept forgiveness. Everyone is not going to be able to forgive themselves. So, as far as it is possible, if it is possible, not to force it to be possible. You can't force people to do what they don't want to do. So if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So do your best. Do your best to forgive. Do your best to go about reconciliation. But if everything that God has been telling you to do in terms of forgiveness and reconciliation has not been working, leave it alone. There's nothing for you to do at that point in time. You are not to force people to want to engage in a personal relationship with you. That is not. Think about it like this. God never forced us into a personal relationship. God did not force me into a personal relationship with him. I chose a personal relationship with him because I saw there's something in having a relationship with God. There's some sort of peace in having a relationship with God. So understand, and this is getting to the third thing. If reconciliation isn't possible or healthy, you can practice loving people at a distance. Commit to praying for that person's well-being, not for them to change for your benefit, but for God to bless them. Do it for 7 days and see how God works on your heart. So it's always okay, and I want people who are churchgoers who grew up in the church. It is okay to love people from a distance. You do not have to forgive someone and then boom, right back into your personal life again, because what's going to end up happening is people take advantage of forgiveness. People take advantage of God's grace. So once they see, like, oh, he didn't he didn't cut me off once I did that, or I'm just gonna keep doing it. This I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it even worse and see what happens. Will he, cut me off then? It becomes like an experiment for them. So what you have to understand is loving from a distance not only protects you, but it puts them in check and makes them understand that their behavior is not something that is accepted by me. It's not accepted by you. So they need to do something to change it if they want to, bridge the gap between you two. So I hope that this particular devotion has given you some insight on forgiveness again and reconciliation. And for the most important thing for you to understand, you are mandated to forgive, but you are not mandated to have everyone in your personal life. Let me repeat that one more time. You are mandated to forgive. You are mandated to forgive by God, but you are not mandated, or you're not forced to have people, you're not forced to put people into your personal life. That is something that you choose. That is something that through the building of trust that you choose. That through discernment with God, through understanding discernment and through understanding God, you're able to discern who needs to be around you and who needs to be near you, and that's been that particular sense. So all that being said, I I hope that it did change your perspectives. And until next time, stay grounded, stay humbled, and above all else, stay aligned with just the word. Thank you.